it's just better content quality, I found. They produce more creative, authentic content than celebrities. They're actually creating the content themselves. I think also there's just a level of relationship depth that you get with these micro influencers. They often build genuine connections with not only their followers, but the restaurant. They love to get to know the chef. They want to go in the kitchen. It's very real relationship that can come out of this partnership. Also, the ongoing engagement. These influencers often continue to promote your restaurant organically after the partnership ends. I found this with so many influencers where they will come in for a visit and they'll celebrate their birthday there. Several months later, they'll continue to come back. They'll come back for brunch. They'll still tag you. They will still post just because they love the spot that much.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, your essential resource for mastering the unique challenges of social media marketing in the hospitality industry authentically. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and each episode we dive deep into the real issues, from evolving guest expectations to standout social campaigns, sharing insights and strategies you can put to work. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, where we're digging into the challenges, successes, and stories of social media community professionals in the industry, just like you. Subscribe to gain valuable insights that you'll be able to apply to your own work and social presence from each and every episode. Now, if you're pouring money into celebrity endorsements and big name influencers for your restaurant marketing, you might be shocked to learn you're potentially wasting your budget. Many hospitality brands are discovering that their flashiest influencer campaigns aren't delivering the engagement or conversions they expected. The industry's at a turning point where authenticity is trumping celebrity status, and the most successful restaurants are completely reimagining their influential marketing strategy. Today, we're joined by Alexandra Seward, a digital marketing powerhouse who's managed social media for over 50 restaurant brands and has worked with everyone from NFL players to Real Housewife stars. But what she's discovered about micro influencer partnerships is going to transform how you think about influencer marketing. As the current social media leader for the Bryad Group and former marketing strategist for Atlas Restaurant Group, Alexandra brings real world experience and data driven insights to this critical conversation. Hey, Alexandra, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. I would love if you could just start by sharing an example of a micro influencer campaign that, in your opinion, really outperformed one of those celebrity partnerships that you might have had for your restaurants.
Absolutely. I can think of the biggest one. We had a grand opening for a new rooftop that we have in San Diego. It's above a beautiful hotel. Very kind of poppin' area. It was on Fifth Avenue and Gaslamp. So we had a media
Yeah.
night where we invited a variety of influencers. We had the micro influencers with like 5 to 10,000 followers. We had fitness influencers. That's a big thing in San Diego. We had bunch of Padres players, Housewife stars. We had some celebrities from The Bachelor. A big group of them live in the downtown San Diego area. And so after this event, we asked everyone to, post the content. So we started to see all the posts coming in and we started to compare and contrast. And the post that performed the best was from an influencer that actually lived in downtown San Diego, steps from our hotel. And she had 15,000 followers, and it was a beautiful video. She did a voiceover. It was a minute and a half long, showcased the entire experience, start to finish. It was unbelievable. It was so high quality, filmed on her iPhone. And then we had a Bachelor star with millions of followers and a Padres player with millions of followers, and they just did one little static post that they shortly deleted, probably within 2 weeks of the event. And we were able to capture some engagement from that, but it didn't nearly perform as good as that micro influencer. She was about 25, 26, just local in the area. So that was very telling. I was blown away by her engagement compared to the celebrities.
That is amazing. It doesn't surprise me. First of all, I'm really familiar with that area, so this sounds
Yeah, okay.
fantastic, like a great opportunity. I can picture this place right now and what a
Yep,
fun spot that would be, for someone who's frankly, like, at my level of following and that kinda thing, and how fun it would be to be there
right.
hobnobbing with some stars, but
Yeah,
also giving a very authentic portrayal of what they were experiencing to their audience, which I think is why a lot of people don't realize there's a huge difference between what folks look for and get from a mega celebrity or a mega influencer versus a micro or even a macro influencer. It's
Yeah.
very different results. Um, but that also, it's a challenge because everybody knows who the mega influencers are. They're the names that
Mhm.
we all know. Even if we're not talking about mega celebrities, even if we're talking about just within our industry, like marketing or hospitality,
Right.
something like that, you know who the mega influencers are. Finding those micro influencers, that's a challenge. So I'm wondering
Mhm.
how you evaluate, how you find, how you identify those kinds of folks for the restaurants that you're promoting.
Totally. We look at the Brad group at a bunch of different criteria. So the first is audience relevance. I like to make sure, are their followers, are they foodies? Do they live in the area? Do they like elevated dining experiences? How are their followers interacting with their food targeted posts? That's always very interesting to see the audience relevance. The engagement quality. I want to see, are the comments from bot followers that is just like one little emoji and it's a fake follower, or are they full sentence long, full conversations happening in the comments from real followers, real engagement? That's always really important to see. I love to see the content style and evaluate that. Are they authentic, high quality visuals that align with our restaurant aesthetics? I love to see a lot of reels. Is this influencer only doing static posts? We'll probably not work with them. If the influencer is doing voiceovers that are 30 seconds to a minute long. We love to see that. Um, I also love to look at the location. Are these influencers, do they have a strong presence in our restaurant's target geographic area? Our rooftops at the Bryad Group, we have the Concourse Club in Woodridge, New Jersey, about 30 minutes outside of the city. And then we have the Bradford rooftop, which is about an hour and a half outside of the city. So we do have a lot of New York City influencers reaching out to us for staycation collaborations, which I'm actually very open to. We're seeing a lot of staycation influencers reaching out to kind of get out of the city, try something new. But outside of that, we're solely looking at influencers in our region because it just makes the most sense for us. I also like to look at personality. Are they fun? Are they funny? Um, is it is it real? I also like to see their previous partnerships. I want to see, do they have a track record of working with similar restaurants? Are they working with a bunch of chains? Are they working with beverage brands? For us, we're very elevated rooftops. We're open at 5 o'clock. We're closed Sunday, Monday. So we don't really want the brunch, breakfast, daytime influencer. We want the elevated nightlife, nighttime influencer. And we also like to see kind of the audience demographics. It's very interesting from the restaurant accounts. I love to see, do we have any mutual followers? Are we following some of the same tourism accounts for Visit New Jersey? Are we following New Jersey Digest? Some of those big media accounts, I like to see if we have any mutual followers there. So that's kind of the criteria that we look at for evaluating these potential partnerships.
I love this because what you've really illustrated is a thoughtful approach to
Mhm.
influencer marketing. And as much as people would love to just pay for a tweet or whatever, that's not effective. You need to have a thoughtful approach. You need to have thought
Yes.
through what makes for a good influencer for our brand and our
Mhm.
target clientele. To take your first example there, you're looking at people who are foodies and their audience
Mhm.
is people who are interested in dining out and fun food
Yes.
experiences and that sort of thing. If I'm following a San Diego Padres baseball player, I mean, let's just throw back for a second. If I'm following Tony Gwynn, it's not because of his dining choices, it's because of
Right.
his bat. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely not having that same interest, and that's why for so many people, their influencer marketing campaigns fall flat because,
Mhm.
they're just throwing it's basically like ad dollars where you're
Yeah.
not targeting the right audience. So, appreciate you spelling that out for folks.
Mhm,
Anyone listening, if you've never really done influencer marketing, or if you've been doing it and it hasn't been working out well, go back and re-listen to that section that Alexander just mentioned, because that is a fantastic approach, and you can do that exact same blueprint. I'm wondering, you talked about looking at those who've had done partnerships in the past. How are you structuring your partnerships? How are you approaching that
mhm.
relationship with these micro influencers?
Totally. I think more than ever, transparency is key. I have become now almost over specific with all the clear deliverables that I want to see from influencers because I've made the mistake of not specifying what I want and I get disappointed with the outcome of the quality of the content. You have to specify everything now, whether it's, a post, static post versus a reel, how long the reel is. I had an influencer once post just it was like a 10-second video clip of a burger, and it just did not showcase the restaurant, the vibe, the ambiance at all, and it really didn't do anything for us. So I like to specify the specific content formats. First and foremost, okay, we want a minute long reel, as well as a posting schedule, because oftentimes these influencers have a bunch of brand deals that they're working with or a bunch of collaborations, and your post might get pushed to the bottom of their to do list. So I want to make sure, okay, can this be posted within 3 days of your visit, maybe a week? It all depends on your personal content calendar, but for me, I like to see the post go out within 3 to 5 days of the visit, specifying the tagging requirements. For us, our rooftop venues are located on top of hotels, so I wanna make sure the influencer is always inviting both the hotel and the rooftop to collaborate. If we have a big chef that we wanna showcase, tag the chef as well. This is all very important to specify, even as little as what dishes you want them to showcase. So
Hmm.
with, that kinda comes down to the compensation. I like to lay out the deals of their complimentary dining experience. For the most part, we're working with influencers who wanna collaborate, for a free meal and the free dining experience, free brunch. So, with that, you even have to specify how many dishes they're gonna get, how many cocktails they're gonna get. Please kindly tip your server. Lay all that out there because I've had the influencer walk in, tries to order the whole menu, and just walks out, without tipping your server. So, as specific as possible with the compensation. And then I like to look at the long term relationship building. If it's an influencer where I'm really excited about this partnership and I want to see if we can collaborate on many events, holidays, girls' night outs, whatever it is, I like to look at if there are multi-visit opportunities rather than just a one-off post. And for us, we found this sister duo that's based out of New York City, and we are like their go-to staycation collaboration
Mm.
destination, and it's been awesome. They've celebrated birthdays with us now. They've celebrated holidays. They've done overnight staycations with the hotel, so it's been awesome, and it's turned into a really awesome partnership for us. Um, and lastly, just the cross promotion, just to make sure that they're always inviting you to collaborate, tagging, posting on all platforms, Facebook, TikTok, stories. All of that's really important. So definitely important to structure the clear deliverables up front.
This is a masterclass, honestly, in influencer marketing, because you are sharing so many things that folks will not get just from watching some YouTube videos on influencer marketing or reading an article or even a book. I mean, honestly, I wrote an entire chapter in a book on social media marketing all about influencer marketing.
Mhm.
And I still didn't go to the level of depth that you just did. And it's important for folks listening to understand you're sharing, obviously, from some personal experience. There's obviously some stories and some being burned in there, that you've learned through trial and error. I need to specify what you can order off the menu, how many cocktails. I mean, it makes complete sense when you
Mhm.
say it out loud. But if I've
Mhm.
never done a deal with an influencer from my restaurant before, I wouldn't think to tell them, "Oh, you can only have 2 cocktails," and then they come
Right.
in and they order the whole bar. Makes
Exactly.
complete sense. And I love that you're looking at repeat visits with the same influencer, because just like any kind of advertising, we know we really want ideally multiple exposures to that same audience. I'm wondering, do you ever work with like multiple influencers at the same time where you have them like collaborate with each other in addition to the brands?
Honestly, I've never done that before. That's actually not a bad idea because a lot of them are friends, which I've found when we've
Right?
had
Yeah.
these media nights or grand opening events. They're all friends. They all come together. They all hang out the whole night. They'll grab a drink afterwards. So that is definitely an area of opportunity for sure. Is to just invite a couple and do one big collaboration with several influencers. That's a great idea.
I stole it from Adobe. I totally took that from Adobe. It's something that they do with their annual Adobe Summit. They'll invite a cadre of influencers. They'll pay their travel. They bring them out to, I think it's Las Vegas,
Hmm.
to their event. So a couple years ago, it was folks like Goldie Chan, Lee Auden, um, Miri Rodriguez, I think, was there, and a couple of these are big names in marketing, right?
Hmm.
It's particularly B2B marketing, and they all know each other. And so
Hmm.
they show up and they're all going to the same events, they're taking selfies with each other, and then most importantly, they're interacting and engaging with each other's social posts and tagging each other. So they're all amplifying each other's posts and
Yep.
Adobe's posts. It's a brilliant tactic. I've used it many, many times for Agorapulse. So
Hmm.
you, everybody listening, definitely look at how you could bring in a couple different or three different influencers at once, introduce them
Hmm.
if they don't already know each other, and get them to collaborate with each other. I'm wondering, Alexander, as you've been working with some of these micro influencers, what's the biggest surprise that you discovered by working with them versus celebrities?
Yeah. I think there are a lot of micro influencers who are willing to collaborate for free. They are interested in the dining experience. They want to try a new restaurant. They want to bring their friends. They want a free dinner. And a lot of influencers have these full time day jobs where this is their hobby. It's a separate account for them. It's fun, and I often prefer working with these types of micro influencers as opposed to those whose sole job and primary source of income is their influencer platform that try to charge you crazy rates, thousands of dollars for posts. So that's definitely probably one of the biggest surprises willing is finding the influencers who are willing to collaborate for free. Also, it's just better content quality, I found. They produce more creative, authentic content than celebrities. They are actually creating the content themselves. I have found some celebrities, that hire outside content creators to fully source the content for them. Um, I think also there's just a level of relationship depth that you get with these micro influencers. They often build genuine connections with not only their followers, but the restaurant. They love to get to know the chef. They want to go in the kitchen. It's very real relationship that can come out of this partnership. Also, the ongoing engagement. These influencers often continue to promote your restaurant organically after the partnership ends. I found this with so many influencers where they will come in for a visit and they'll celebrate their birthday there. Several months later, they'll continue to come back. They'll come back for brunch. They'll still tag you. They will still post just because they love the spot that much. Um, Also, these micro influencers have a really quick turnaround and they can launch campaigns very quickly. There's no need for any lengthy contract negotiations. And sometimes with these larger celebrities, they they just take a while. It could be months before you see the actual content come out. And I found that you always have to follow up. And sometimes you'll never see the post. It just gets lost in translation and the shuffle of all their other brand deals that they're working with. So, those are all definitely big surprises that I found, with working with these micro influencers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We were talking before we started recording about how I was speaking at an event there in
Uh-huh.
Brooklyn. I was actually teaching influencer marketing, and I was telling the story that my wife has become a micro influencer of a sort in the like boutique kids clothing world. Because we have two daughters; they're now 10 and 13.
Mhm.
When they were like 3 and 5 and 7, yeah, they were so cute, and they were all wearing these boutique clothes. And to your point, not only can you get often micro influencers to work for free, sometimes you don't even have to give them for free, just a discount, which is what
Yeah.
my wife would often get, like a 20% or 25% coupon to
Mhm.
get a dress that she'd then put in
Mhm.
our girls and post it to Instagram. I was so from the stage, I'm thinking, okay, this is a steal from the
Right. Yeah.
brand. I'm
Yeah.
still paying for my wife to create this content. I
Right.
didn't think that was fair, but it works. It absolutely
Mhm.
works.
It
Now,
absolutely works.
when we first started talking, You mentioned how that micro influencer in San Diego their content performed so much better than a lot of the celebrities. How did you measure that? How are you measuring success overall with these micro influencer campaigns?
Yep. So we use Resi for our rooftops. So I'm constantly looking at my Resi app on the back end, and I can literally see reservation spikes after campaigns go live. Oftentimes, the follower increases and impressions overall are the three really big ones. Um, we look at new menu performance as well. So we'll notice if an influencer is talking about one dish in particular or one cocktail in particular, the sales for those specific dishes will tremendously go up. We'll also look at just website traffic analysis on the back end, how many clicks, website taps, and I will always follow up the influencer afterwards to send us a nice recap of the analytics from her end and compare that to ours. But I think the follower increases and the reservation spikes are the really big ones that I notice. And I'll track those, I'll benchmark those and take note for future influencer visits. And it's really nice to kind of compare and contrast with all the a bunch of influencers that you have in and see who's performing the best. But it's really unbelievable the impact that they can have.
That's fantastic. Folks, we're talking with Alexandra Stewart about how beneficial it can be for hospitality brands to work with micro influencers. In a moment, we're going to reveal some common mistakes that you can avoid. But first, let me share with you a way that you can give yourself some extra time in your day to spend on influencer outreach.
When I take a look at the biggest core benefit for Agorapulse, I have to look at two sides of the equation. I have to look at what it does for us, as far as managing our community and all of the conversation management tools, which I appreciate so much. But from a far more pragmatic point of view, it saves us money. It saves us a lot of money because of the productivity features that are built in with how it manages those conversations. We don't waste time. We're efficient.
Agorapulse allows me to get through all my messages and my replies really quickly. That's probably the number one reason for me wanting to use the tool. It saves so much time.
A big draw for me with Agorapulse was the ability to manage my YouTube comments. That is a huge feature for me, and here's why. Because up until then, I basically would have to go into my social media manager system to do everything there, and then I'd have to log out, go back into YouTube, and do the same thing there. Now, when you are managing multiple clients, this becomes a huge waste of time, right? And what we want to do is streamline that efficiency. So we can log into one website now. We can manage all of our major social profiles there, and we're able to serve our clients with more clarity and purpose.
They worked with us, they helped train us on how to get everything up and going, and we were able to cancel out all the other tools that we didn't need anymore. So it saved us a lot of time and a lot of headache for my team members as they're, now they only have one tool that they can maximize their clients in.
So, when you were describing your approach earlier, obviously you were sharing a lot of things that you do now that must have come from mistakes or just things that happened in the past. Like you're very clear about the format, for instance, and the frequency and that sort of thing. What are some common mistakes that you see other restaurants making when they're trying to work with influencers?
Yeah. So I have some friends that are also in the space, and I've found that these restaurants are prioritizing follower count with these micro influencers as opposed to their engagement quality
Mm.
and the audience relevance. They're looking at just the number of the followers and they're not looking at the shares, the comments, the saves. And that's all super important to look at. And I will prefer the influencer with so many shares and saves over the influencer with hundreds of thousands of followers all day long. I also find that these restaurants are providing just insufficient brand guidelines while still expecting very specific results. So it kind of goes back to the clear deliverables there. Um, I find that I find that restaurants are also expecting immediate results without allowing time for the content to perform. So I think restaurants get hasty and they expect right away they're going to gain 100,000 followers after this post goes live, but it takes a minute. It takes, 5 days for it to really hit the algorithm. Maybe you boost the post, see how that goes, but you can't expect immediate results. And I think these restaurants get hung up on that. And I think they're focusing too much on the short term with these collaborations as opposed to the long term effects of the posts and the long term relationships. I especially find that with real collaborations that we do that are at least a minute and a half long, we will find the followers come in slow and steady, but it's a slow growth there, but it's worth the wait, definitely.
That makes complete sense. Terrific advice. Last summer, I was interviewing a product manager from TikTok, and they were talking about their TikTok Trends feature and how they were seeing that, like authentic iPhone style videos, whether it was the brand or an influencer, it didn't actually matter, right? But it
Mhm.
was the look, that like unpolished ish look that was really trending well. Has that impacted your influencer marketing strategy? Because I know you mentioned having this elevated look. How has that impacted you?
Yes. So we have worked with amazing videographers and for horizontal website videos that have performed beautifully on our websites. However, with reels and stuff, it looks too much like an ad, it looks too commercial. And we have found that users just aren't engaging with the professional video, at least with our rooftops and hotels. I think iPhone just shows more personality. Like you said, it's less polished and I think iPhone is just more in the moment. I love when influencers will post a bunch of stories live in the moment from their iPhone, tagging us while they're taking that first bite of the burger, and we will get a lot of eyes on those posts solely just because it's iPhone, it's real, it's in the moment, and it's authentic. So I definitely agree. iPhone is just performing better. I've looked at other brands, do some research, and I've looked at the likes, I've scrolled down, and there's not a lot of likes going for these really, really high-end videos. So I definitely think it's worth it for the website for sure, but definitely not for reels.
Yeah, that makes complete sense for this particular, not only industry, but your target audience.
Mhm,
They want to see authentically, what does the space look like? How's the food going to taste? What's the
mhm,
experience going to feel like in that raw, unfiltered approach from an iPhone or whatever smartphone device
mhm.
you've got? Sounds fantastic. I'm wondering, as you've identified some of these influencers to work with, and you've worked with several of them now over time, are you using any particular tools to track and manage those relationships and partnerships?
Yes, so I actually use Metricool, the app and the website for all of my content scheduling and performance tracking, and it's been very great so far. It's easy to use. I can add restaurant managers in there as well if they want to see everything and be up to date. I can also send approvals with that to the influencers as well if needed, or they can send approvals to me all through this app called Metricool. But honestly, Instagram Insights and Meta Insights, I think are
Mm.
super valuable. It's so specific. It's right there in the palm of your hand with just a few taps. You can see how well um, these posts are performing. It's very easy to track and manage from there. I've also worked with Hootsuite in the past. I found that to be great. So I'd say probably those are the big three for me: Metricool, Hootsuite, and Instagram Insights.
Fantastic. And I'm wondering, my last question for you is, what resources, communities, how are you keeping up with everything that's happening with trending, with influencer marketing and social media overall? Because there's a lot going on and it can be overwhelming. I'm hoping you can kind of clear out some of the hype for us.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. So I very much simplified my resources that I'm using. Hey Orca is an amazing newsletter that I get emailed every week. They also have weekly webinars where they're always talking about the latest app updates. They're talking about trends. They're talking about everything. So that's an unbelievable resource. Hey Orca. I also attended the Social Media Marketing Summit in New York City last year, and they had a bunch of
Mm.
speakers and it was in person. It was amazing. Great variety of speakers from different brands and industries, but they definitely touched on influencer marketing a lot and AI as well. And lastly, podcasts. The Marketing Happy Hour, the Influencer Marketing Lab, the Skinny Confidential. Those are my three big ones where they often have a lot of influencers, micro, macro, celebrities that are always talking about social media, the trends, the do's and don'ts. It's all they're all great, great podcasts there.
Fantastic recommendations. And this has been such A terrific interview, Alexander. You've shared so much great advice for folks who
Yeah.
want to reach out. Maybe they want to follow you on social or ask you more questions. Where should they go?
Yeah, so you can actually go to Instagram. I myself have a little foodie Instagram account. It's called Foodie Two Shoes. So it's foodie number two shoes underscore. You can find me there on Instagram, or you can find my LinkedIn. It's just Alexander Seward with the Bryad Group.
Terrific. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, all of you, for listening. As always, we'll have all those links in the show notes for you so you can go follow her and check out her food adventures in New York City. Don't forget to find the Social Pulse podcast, Hospitality Edition, on Apple. Drop me a review. Let me know what you think. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Social Pulse podcast, Hospitality Edition, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution. Discover more at agorapulse.com. Enjoyed the episode? Please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback drives our content.